Test. It's Wednesday, October 14th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with your news this morning, including the arrest of a teacher's aide in Stratford, a gun being drawn during a parking lot argument at the Trumbull Mall, and much more. We also have Rob Adams back today to bring us the latest on high school sports and a weather update. Don will have history, and Jim Cameron will be talking transportation. But first, on to the news this morning. A teacher's aide with the Stratford School District has been arrested for alleged sexual assault with a child. Stratford police say that on September 24th, the department was contacted regarding allegations of inappropriate conduct by an adult female and a juvenile victim. As a result of the investigation, Stratford police detectives arrested 28-year-old Michelle Solzicki in connection with this investigation. Solzicki turned herself into Stratford police on October 14th. She was unable to post her $100,000 bond and was transported to Superior Court in Bridgeport. Solzicki was charged with sexual assault in the first degree, sexual assault in the second degree, illegal sexual contact with a minor, and risk of injury to a minor. A media conference is being held at the Stratford Board of Education Central Office today at 11:30. For updates on that story, visit stratfordstar.com. I know our Stratford Star editor Melvin Mason is on his way there right now, so check back for those updates. A Bridgeport man and a Bridgeport woman were arrested for risk of injury to a minor, breach of peace in the second degree, and threatening in the second degree at the Westfield Trumbull Mall on the evening of Friday, October 9th. Police say that 34-year-old Renelle Gale and 24-year-old Lashana Van Riel Gale got into a verbal argument with a female driver in the parking lot of Target. According to a report, the driver, who was with her daughter at the time of the incident, said she was trying to park when the Gale's vehicle pulled up into the same space. She told police she was trying to back out of the spot when Lashana got out of her vehicle and began screaming. Police said the female driver couldn't back out of the spot because of the way that the Gale's vehicle was positioned, and that situation escalated when Renelle got out of the vehicle and pulled a gun out, police said. According to the victim, Renelle said, quote, "I'll shoot you and nobody will know," before the two drove away. Police said security footage in the parking lot couldn't show whether a gun was drawn at the scene, and that officers with the Bridgeport Police Department pulled over the Gale's vehicle later that day and couldn't find a gun in their possession. The couple was charged with risk of injury to a minor because the female driver was with her daughter at the time, and Lashana's infant son was in the back seat of the Gale's vehicle at the time of the incident. Renelle was given a $10,000 bond, and Lashana was given a $2,500 bond. They're both scheduled to appear in court this Friday, October 16th. Well, in New Canaan, 28-year-old Trevor Dixon of New Haven was arrested October 9th following a series of 4 burglaries in town. Dixon struck once on Rosebrook Road and 3 times on Brushy Ridge Road. His tactics involved breaking into cars parked in driveways, stealing as much loot as he could, and then hightailing it away from the scene by bicycle. It is not clear yet whether or not he had an accomplice. The larceny on Rosebrook Road was reported October 9th at about 6:40 in the morning, when the homeowner stated that when she went to her car in the morning, she discovered the driver's side window had been broken. Stolen from the vehicle was a purse valued at $500, credit cards, an iPad, and $150 in cash. The next 3 incidents occurred on Brushy Ridge Road. From one vehicle reported at about 8 in the morning on October 9th, a purse, credit cards, and more cash was stolen. Another victim lost an Apple MacBook Pro, a backpack, and an iPad Air. The victim said she was alerted to the theft around 5:30 in the morning when her dog started barking. She initially dismissed the dog's bark, but when they went outside at 6 a.m., it was discovered that there had been a larceny. Dixon's luck, however, ran out when he was riding what was turned out to be a stolen bicycle on Devonwood Lane and was spotted by a suspicious neighbor. When Dixon ditched the bike in a driveway and got into a silver sedan, the resident called police, giving Dixon's description, and he is described as a black male, and the vehicle's details, including license plate. He was tracked down at a rest area on the Merritt Parkway in Fairfield. He was arrested based on the investigation and held on a $50,000 bond, charged with burglary, conspiracy to commit burglary, larceny, possession of burglary tools, and credit card theft. Police said Dixon had multiple warrants out for his arrest from the Norwalk and Middletown Police Departments and Connecticut State Police Troop F. Well, last week, 2 men from 2 different states apparently selling the same product were arrested in Wilton on separate occasions, each for soliciting in town without a permit, and one was held as a fugitive from justice. On October 6th, around 1:30 in the afternoon, 29-year-old Christopher Stebbins of Tucson, Arizona, was picked up at 4 Erdman Lane while attempting to sell cleaning products for a company called Sierra Solutions based in South Lake Tahoe, California. Police said he had no permit and no identification, and because he lived in another state, Stebbins was taken into custody for the infraction of soliciting without a permit in the town of Wilton, a town ordinance, and was later bonded out for $136, which was the price of his ticket. However, 2 days later, on October 8th, around 2:40 in the afternoon, police received a report of a man soliciting in the area of Pine Ridge Road, also selling cleaning products. When police made contact with the salesman, he gave his brother's name as his own and explained that he was from Texas and did not have any state-issued identification. He did, however, possess 2 ID cards from Sierra Solutions in California. Police did not specify who they belonged to. Through records checks and fingerprints, the individual was identified as 36-year-old Mark Allen Cole of Dallas, Texas, and it was determined he had been using aliases in order to avoid being caught on an active warrant for his arrest issued by the Dallas County Sheriff. According to Wilton Police, the warrant was for a probation violation, and he was extradited. For the crimes on Pine Ridge Road, Cole was charged with interfering with an officer, criminal impersonation, and soliciting without a permit. He's scheduled to appear in Norwalk Superior Court. He was on October 9th. Because he was also a fugitive from justice from the state of Texas, Cole was concurrently held on a $100,000 bond for that charge and underwent a separate arraignment at Norwalk Superior Court. Well, the Bridgeport Police Department responded to a non-fatal shooting yesterday in which 2 people were wounded. At approximately 5:45 on Tuesday, police officers responded to a call regarding an alleged shooting incident near the corner of Mildner Drive and Union Avenue. Upon arrival at the scene, police were made aware that 2 people had been shot and the victims already were transported to Bridgeport Hospital in a private vehicle. After contacting the hospital, police were made aware that the first victim, an 18-year-old white male from Milford, suffered a gunshot wound to the right shoulder and one to the chest. He was reported in stable condition at the hospital. The second victim, a 17-year-old black male from Stratford, suffered a gunshot wound to the right hand. He is also reportedly in stable condition. Detectives are actively investigating, and anyone with information regarding the incident should contact the Bridgeport Police Department at 203-581-5201. Well, Connecticut voters disapprove 58 to 32% of the job Governor Daniel Malloy is doing, his lowest approval rating ever and the lowest score for any governor in the 9 states surveyed this year by the independent Quinnipiac University poll. The governor gets 4-1 negative scores for the way he handles taxes and the state budget. Today's results are down from a negative 43 to 47% approval rating in March 11th survey by Quinnipiac University. Governor Malloy gets a lackluster 58 to 33% approval from Democrats, while disapproval is 86 to 8% among Republicans and 61 to 29% among independent voters. Men disapprove 62 to 31% and women disapprove 55 to 33%. The governor gets negative grades on 3 character ratings, including strong leadership skills, being honest and trustworthy, and that he cares about voters' needs and problems. In an open-ended question allowing for any answer, 33% of voters list the economy and jobs as the most important problem facing Connecticut today, while 28% list taxes and 11% list the state budget. Connecticut voters give the governor negative grades for his handling of key issues, including the budget, taxes, and economy and jobs, as well as transportation and crime. A total of 75% of voters say Connecticut's economy is not so good or poor, and only 10% say it's getting better. Well, it's about time to throw it over to Rob Adams for a look at today's weather. Rob, you weren't here yesterday, so I forgot. You kind of snuck in when I wasn't looking.
I did my part to get right back in here, Kate. Good morning to you, and thanks, everyone. Good morning, everyone. We've got a partly sunny day, a high near 67. It's a mixed bag outside. It was pretty dark a moment ago outside our Shelton studio, but right now looking kind of decent. And by the way, the leaves are absolutely gorgeous. If you have not gotten out to see them, by all means do. Partly cloudy tonight, a low 44. Sunny and 62 for tomorrow, mostly clear, a low 48 tomorrow night. The wind staying fairly reasonable, around 8 miles per hour. Now, a chance of showers for Friday, mainly between noon and 5 p.m., partly sunny with a high near 62. For all of us, that is very good news, considering we will be in Ridgefield on Friday night for football, so certainly want to keep those showers out of the way, see if we can avoid it. Maybe we'll dance around it for coffee break and avoid it completely for the football game. Mostly clear Friday night, low only 42, so for all of us working outside, grab a little heavier jacket. It's going to be needed. Sunny and 55 for Saturday, partly cloudy, 35 for the low on Saturday night. Sunny and 50 for Sunday, and back to the work week, sunny and a high near 53. Right now we have 62 in Darien. Ridgefield has 60, and Shelton has a very pleasant 60 degrees, Kate.
All right. Thanks so much, Rob. Happy to have you back. I hope you enjoyed a day of golfing yesterday.
I did. I will discuss the golf game probably on Next Sports. I didn't set any course records for sure, unless it's for futility, but we'll talk about it then.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Don Eng's going to have a look back on this day in history. Rob Adams will give us the latest on high school sports, and we have a lot more news coming up on your coffee break after this.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark Building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
While the temperatures are cooling down, the fall bite is heating up. Albies, bonita, blackfish, alligator blues, and stripers are following the large schools of bait that are abundant in the Long Island Sound. If you love the New England coast during autumn, this is the time to be on the water. The latest from Shimano, Quantum, Avet, Hoagie, Phase 2 and more are in stock and ready to go at the Dock Shop. And don't mind those fall breezes with jackets, hats, gloves, and fleece from Grundens and Stormer. The Dock Shop will keep you warm and dry. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances, where community comes first, a place where there's more than one kind of interest, where automation will never replace consideration, where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
And we're back on this Wednesday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. Kate Czaplinski throwing it over to Donald Eng right now for a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, it didn't win any Academy Awards, but according to the Guinness Book of World Records, it may be the most important film ever made. But first, we're going to go back to 1656. The Massachusetts colony enacts punitive legislation against the Religious Society of Friends, that is, the Quakers. Because the Puritans had a marriage of church and state, they regarded the Quakers as spiritually apostate and politically subversive. 1912, if there was any question who the toughest president we ever had, Teddy Roosevelt, campaigning in Milwaukee, is shot in the chest by a mentally disturbed saloon keeper named John Schrank. With the fresh wound in his chest and the bullet still in, Roosevelt carried out his scheduled 90-minute speech. 1926, yesterday we talked about Paddington. Today, the other stuffed bear. Children's book Winnie the Pooh, first published. A. Milne wrote the book based on his son Christopher Robin's beloved stuffed bear. The sequel, written 2 years later, is called The House at Pooh Corner, and if the last chapter of the book doesn't make you cry, we just can't be friends. 1947, Captain Chuck Yeager of the Air Force flies a Bell X-1 experimental aircraft faster than the speed of sound over the high desert of Southern California. He becomes the first pilot and first plane to do so in level flight. 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. receives the Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequality through nonviolence. Unfortunately, of course, like many nonviolent protesters, he met a violent end. And finally, we go to 1888. Follow this plot carefully. There was this. That is Louis Le Prince's film, Round A Garden Scene. The film was made at Oakwood Grange, the home of Joseph and Sarah Whitley in Roundhay, England. It features Adolphe Le Prince, Sarah Whitley, Joseph Whitley, and Harriet Hartley in the garden walking around. It is the first motion picture shot on a continual strip of celluloid film. Well, that is your look back in history, and I'm Donald Ing.
All right. Thanks so much, Don. Well, before we bring on Rob Adams with local sports, I'm just going to give you an update on a story we brought you yesterday that has become pretty viral. The Connecticut Post reports the case of the aunt who sued her young nephew over a reckless birthday party hug may have hinged on a plate of hors d'oeuvres. Jennifer Connell, who claimed the 8-year-old boy was negligent when he jumped in her arms, knocked her down, and broke her wrist, testified last week that the injury made it hard for her to hold a plate of hors d'oeuvres. At least one juror wrinkled her nose at that explanation, the Connecticut Post said. The juror, who didn't want to be identified, said, "We just didn't think the boy was negligent." It only took 20 minutes Tuesday for 6 Superior Court jurors to decide that 54-year-old Connell deserved 0 in her civil claim against the boy. The lawsuit Connell filed in 2013 sought $127,000 in damages from Sean Torella, who's now 12 years old. He was the only defendant named. His father, Michael, accompanied him to court. His mother, Lisa, died last year. As we said, the lawsuit story and details of Connell's case have since been picked up by many national media websites. All right, Rob, time to bring you in for high school sports. And I know that's a story we've all been rolling our eyes at a bit, gotta say.
I think we have been, and I'm trying to hold on to the caviar here, but let's see if I can get through. Thanks, Kate. Good morning, everyone, once again. Hey, we had cross country on the air yesterday. Great work by everybody down at Waveney Park in New Canaan, and it was the Rams sweeping their cross country meet with Trinity Catholic, West Hill, Norwalk, and Bridgeport Central. Footage shot via Periscope, a little new wrinkle thrown together by the gang here, so kind of cool. You're watching some of the footage right now. That is a very cool wrinkle. I have to actually admit, I would almost stay off mic next week when we do the FCAC Championship just to do this, but I'll probably be on mic anyway. But how cool is that to watch these guys go by, and great job by all of them. Great job by the team here as well. So a nice little wrinkle we've thrown into the mix now, and the FCAC Championship will be on the HAN network next Wednesday. It is a 2 o'clock start down at Waveney Park in New Canaan. By the way, while I'm on that topic, Football Friday, we're moving back to Ridgefield High School's Tiger Hollow, Lancaster Field. We'll be there Friday all day. First with coffee break, then later in the day we'll get going with your FCAC tailgate. Kate and Don hosting that one. Then Dave Stewart and I along for FCAC game day at 5. And then finally the football game, and a good one. I'm very confident. Trinity Catholic and Ridgefield, a couple of teams holding on for some playoff implications and various. That is Friday at 7. Chris Irway and I on the call. Also of note today, while we're talking schedules, the schedules are out today. All of the winter schedules have been released throughout the state. You can find them on the CIAC website, and you can find specifically the FCAC details at fciac.net, fciac.net, and I've already started combing through them a little bit. Eric Gendron and I were debating, should our first hockey broadcast be in, Middletown? Should it be in Hamden? Should it be in West Haven? We'll let you know. Got a little ways to go on all that, but exciting to see them all come out. Despite a little bit of complaining that too soon to get them, I think it's a good time to get them. So, scores from yesterday, some other things to get to. Girls soccer, it was Fairfield Ward knocking off McMahon 3-0. In volleyball, Trinity Catholic took care of Central 3-0. Scores of 25-18, 25-11, and 25-13. Trinity Catholic was led by Emily Dardis with 11 points, 8 aces, and 14 kills. Ludlow knocked off Staples 3-1, as Staples was highlighted by Ginny Gehrig's 13 kills and 4 blocks. Greenwich over Fairfield Ward 3-0, 25-17, 25-16, 25-18 the scores. Nadia Sogiu had 3 kills, 2 aces, and 3 digs for the Cardinals. Danbury over Wilton 3-0. Felicia Sepio had 19 kills on the day, and Sierra Howard 7 kills and 4 assists for the Hatters. McMahon over St. Joe's 3-2. Trumbull over Norwalk 3-0. And girls soccer, couple of scores there. It was Staples over New Canaan 4-1 with highlights. Ivy Prince had a goal. Charlotte Rossi had 1 goal. Erin Lynch also a goal. Lydia Shaw had an assist for the Wreckers. And Greenwich over Trinity Catholic 8-2. Tough score there. All right, we look at the rest of things going on around the world today. And as usual, we've got a busy schedule for you. It's boys soccer, Trumbull at Trinity Catholic. Darien is at West Hill. New Canaan at St. Joe's. There is Wilton hosting McMahon. A little bit of a later start, 4:15. Then a couple of 6 o'clock starts. Greenwich at Danbury. Stamford at Central. And Fairfield, Ludlow, and Ward play tonight at 7 at Fairfield Ward. To field hockey, New Canaan and Greenwich play at 4 at Cardinal Stadium. Wilton hosting Trumbull at 4. And it's Ludlow and Norwalk at 5. To volleyball, Greenwich and Stamford, Central and Ridgefield. Norwalk is at Staples. Darien home for Wilton. Danbury at McMahon. West Hill at St. Joe's. Trinity Catholic at Ludlow. And Ward is at New Canaan. Finally, girls swimming and diving. It's Ward at New Canaan. Ludlow at Wilton. West Hill, Stamford, home for Danbury. And Ridgefield at Staples. So plenty to do today, plenty tomorrow, and then a football Friday coming up. We'll be in Ridgefield for it. Looking forward to it. And oh, by the way, we're only about 10 days away from the Marinelli Bowl. With sports, I'm Rob Adams. Kate, back over to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Rob. Well, getting back to some of today's news, a 43-year-old Trumbull woman was reportedly sexually assaulted by an unknown male who entered her Old Town Home Road on Tuesday morning, police said. Hearst, Connecticut media reports that Deputy Chief Thomas Saravis said the man was reported to display a handgun. The incident was reported to police around 5 a.m. Tuesday. The Trumbull Police Department's Detective Bureau is currently investigating. Savary said residents are asked to contact the police department. If they observe any suspicious behavior in the area, they should call 203-261-3665 or, of course, 911 in case of an emergency. Wilton Youth Football's application to install an artificial turf field at Middlebrook School was approved, in part, by the Wilton Planning and Zoning Commission at its meeting Tuesday night. Not approved was the lighting portion of the application. Affixed to the resolution was a clause that reads, quote, "This approval does not include or extend to the relocation, placement, or replacement of new or existing lights." In other words, if Wilton Youth Football wants the new field to be lit, it's going to have to come back and go through a Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing process. A number of commissioners held that the proposed lights, which would feature a degree of uplighting, did not comply with the town's zoning regulations. The Wilton Bulletin reports that when the issue could not be reconciled at the last meeting, it was decided that town planner Bob Nerney would approach the town council and inquire as to whether or not it would be legal for the commission to approve the field while simultaneously denying the proposed lighting scheme. There's a lot more on that story at wiltonbulletin.com. Well, in Milford, residents may have noticed a pink police car patrolling the streets. The Milford Police Department has partnered with the American Cancer Society Greater New Haven chapter in turning the car pink for this month. The car will be patrolling the streets and attending functions throughout October. The vehicle graphics and installation were donated to the police department by Fleet Auto Supply of West Haven. Check back to milfordmirror.com for more about the program and the department's pink car. Well, taking a look at Shelton, a fire that occurred January 6th of last year destroyed nearly an entire block of Howe Avenue in Shelton, leaving a gaping hole in the ground, displacing more than 27 families and 6 businesses, including a school of art, the Pedal Pusher Barbershop, and 2 restaurants, including Liquid Lunch. Well, the first of those businesses to reopen in the location is called Grow, and it's a reimagined version of Liquid Lunch owned by Fred and Michelle Bialik and Mark Moeller, which opened back in September of this year. The full-service farm-to-family restaurant offers locally sourced food and beverages in a bistro-style setting and is open 5 days a week for lunch and dinner and on Sundays for brunch, and you could get a lot more on on grow at sheltonherald.com. Going to throw it back over to Rob Adams for another look at today's weather. Rob?
And we've got a nice day for the most part. A little cloudy, though. Partly sunny, high 67. Cloudy right now, but it was sunny a little while ago. Partly cloudy tonight, low 44. Sunny, 62 for Thursday. Mostly clear Thursday night, low 48. Chance of showers mainly between noon and 5 on Friday. While Friday night, when we're in Ridgefield, chilly, mostly clear, low 42. I guess that's getting a little more seasonal, although I would take what we had yesterday. Mostly sunny, high 55 for Saturday, sunny and 50 for Sunday, and sunny and 53 for Monday. We have 62 in Darien. Ridgefield has 60, and Shelton has 60 degrees, Kate.
Thanks, Rob. Well, when we come back, Jim Cameron's going to be talking transportation, and we'll recap some of our top stories. That and a lot more coming up on your coffee break after this.
Back to school means back to busy, and Stewart's Market can save you precious time by stocking all of your favorite essentials under one roof. For a healthy start to school, we have all the ingredients. Walter Stewart's, your family-owned fresh local market, 229 Elm Street and at stewartsmarket.com.
Tired of all the bull? Relax and enjoy the experience of buying a car at Panby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram. No bull allowed.
Kaicote Rockefeller Estate is Westchester County's top cultural attraction and is now open for the season. Don't miss out. Go online to hudsonvalley.org to plan your visit. Take a drive out to beautiful Sleepy Hollow, New York, and enjoy Kaicote's stunning architecture, breathtaking gardens, expansive art galleries, and commanding Hudson River views. From world-class art by Picasso and Warhol to expertly tended gardens, there's something for everyone. Kaicote Rockefeller Estate, a National Trust for Historic Preservation Landmark.
Have no fear. HAN Network's Fast Frights movie contest is here. Can your film make the cut? Submit your 3-minute scary movie today for a chance to win a DJI Phantom 3 drone, sponsored by Milford Photo. The only thing to fear is missing the deadline.
Train crashes, passenger deaths, grade crossing accidents, derailments. These are not just the recent history of Metro North, but events dating back decades. I'm Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation, commentary and analysis on getting around in Connecticut. A friend of mine loves reading the microfilms of our small town's weekly newspaper, and he's been feeding me clippings of all the stories he comes across about the New Haven Railroad. The news reports sound all too familiar. Like April 1939, 2 lads on their way to hunt bullfrogs are almost killed crossing the railroad tracks near Norotan Heights. January 1944, an empty train heading to New Haven smashes into a stopped local train at Darien, creating an explosion heard 2 miles away. The engineer is killed, 14 passengers injured. February 1944, and many subsequent dates thereafter, a delivery truck runs off the road at the Hoyt Street Railroad crossing on the New Canaan branch, gets caught on the tracks, and drives into an oncoming train. January 1949, a 10-year-old playing with a length of wire comes in contact with the 11,000-volt overhead catenary. The resulting flash frightens but does not harm the boy. December 1954. A Darien man exits Ernie's Tavern and clambers up an embankment to cross the railroad tracks. Struck by a New York-bound express, he suffers a broken leg. July 1955. Service has become so bad on the New Haven Railroad that Norman Cousins, then editor of the Saturday Review, petitions the Interstate Commerce Commission to fine the railroad as a, quote, hazard to public safety. Cousins complained the trains are so crowded that a dozen passengers must ride standing in the vestibule while others ride in the bathrooms. July 1955. New Haven Railroad President Patrick McGinnis tells the Norwalk Chamber of Commerce that local commuters will now have to pay $5 a month to park their cars at the train station. I'm a businessman, he tells them. I'm not the Ford Foundation. October 1955. A flash flood washes out tracks near Norotan Heights just as a 78-car freight train passes through at 35 miles an hour, derailing 23 of the cars, causing $10 million in damage. Round-the-clock repairs continue for months. February of 1957, a Bridgeport man running to catch a train sees it pulling out of the station and he chases after it. Grabbing the door of the last car, he's unable to board and he falls to the tracks. January 1958, within hours of each other, 2 locomotives catch fire in the Park Avenue Tunnel, shutting down all train service in and out of Grand Central. July 1958. The morning commute is disrupted when 11 cars of a freight train derail near Bridgeport. And December of 1958, citing mounting losses, the New Haven Railroad threatens to eliminate commuter service unless it receives $900,000 from counties in Connecticut and gets New York to waive $1 million in taxes on Grand Central. Railroad President George Alpert warns, I do not propose longer to peril the New Haven Railroad by subsidizing New York City, Westchester, and Connecticut riders. P.S. The New Haven Railroad goes into bankruptcy for the second time in 1961. This is Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation.
Thanks, Jim. Well, taking a look at some other news today, this just in from TrumbleTimes.com. After 2 psychological examinations, the accused murderer of Trumbull native Kevin Sutherland has been ruled mentally competent by a federal judge and will stand trial next year. 18-year-old Jasper Spires is accused of stabbing Sutherland to death on a Washington, D.C. metro train on July 4th after reportedly trying to steal the 24-year-old's cell phone. Speaking to the Times Tuesday afternoon, Kevin's parents, Doug and Sharissa Sutherland, gave their reaction to the court hearing that was held in Washington, D.C. last Friday. They said, we expected the judge to rule that way. Any other decision would have surprised us. They said they're happy now that the case can move forward. The Sutherland family attended the hearing with Sharissa Sutherland's cousin and 2 of Kevin's friends from American University, from which Kevin graduated from in 2013. There's a lot more on that story at TrumbleTimes.com. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, a teacher's aide with the Stratford School District has been arrested for an alleged sexual relationship with a juvenile. Stratford police say that on September 24th, the department was contacted regarding allegations of inappropriate conduct by an adult female and a juvenile victim. That investigation led to the arrest of 28-year-old Michelle Solzicki in connection to the investigation. There's currently, right now, a press conference happening in Stratford on this case. Stratford Star editor Melvin Mason is there, so you can follow the story at stratfordstar.com. And of course, on tomorrow's Coffee Break, we'll have the latest on that story. But that's going to do it for today's Coffee Break. Be sure to tune in for Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and for the rest of our crew here, have a great Wednesday afternoon.